Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
Hello everyone, it's Rachel from Nonessential Media, and you're listening to the Lifecast Podcast Halloween Special. Just to inform you guys, this is a teen-rated podcast. This is not scripted at all. We never know what's actually going to come out of our mouths, so if you are under the age of 13, do not listen. If you are over 13, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Lifecast podcast. Today we have quite a special little podcast for you. It's a Halloween themed. And today with me, sharing our spooky stories, I guess you could say, is...
Jackie.
Isaac.
Yeah. We can't promise we have a whole lot for you because we
I don't have any spooky stories.
Me and Jackie are over here we don't experience anything
Let me start
creepy.
off.
So we're just gonna have to live through these stories that other people have told us, or
I don't even have any story. No one's ever told me a spooky story, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so terrified because you told me the story.
Okay, so
we'll let Isaac start then because he
circa
has some.
2000.
Oh my gosh.
Circa 2012.
2012?
Was it?
You were like 4.
Yeah. What happened?
First of all, I was born in 1998. That's pretty scary.
You're not wrong.
Y2K. Anyways, okay, so I had this childhood friend, my only
Rest
friend.
in peace.
Rest in peace. He's not dead, but...
Oh.
I mean, who knows?
So, my only friend all throughout, middle school.
That is pretty scary.
It's pretty scary. So I'd always go over to his house, every single day. And I wouldn't really get this creepy vibe until we would go into the basement of his house. And it was, just always dark. And supposedly they said that they've seen a demon dog down there with, red eyes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. This is trash. Well, one day, I was a little bit older. This was, one of the last days I hung out with him. I remember it vividly.
Keyword, one of the last days. There's a reason.
There's a lot of trauma in this story.
So, we are going... So, he had, obviously a door to the downstairs. We open the door... And
no shit.
We're going down the stairs, and it's super dark. All the lights are off, and it's almost sunset time. And we notice, or at least I noticed, he has 3 panels of mirrors on the wall, small mirrors. And I noticed for some reason the middle one was missing. And shortly after I noticed that, we were all walking towards the darker side of the room to turn the light on. And all of a sudden, that same mirror gets thrown across the room. We don't see anything because it's dark.
Wait, the mirror that was missing got...
Yeah.
But how did you see it if it was missing?
Well, I'm just assuming it was that mirror. And it was, when we found the pieces, they were, reflective. Or, a mirror. So it literally gets thrown at us, and it's just shatters on the floor.
And it wasn't maybe it wasn't on the wall? Strong enough,
no,
and it just fell?
Yeah.
Or it just actually, went flying?
Someone yeeted it across
Someone
the room.
yeeted it. Something yeeted it.
The demon dog.
The demon dog.
I could bring Derek in, my brother. He was there with me at the time.
No, I believe it, but I'm just trying to, I want people to understand, because sometimes, people say stories, and it's, stuff like that, where it just wasn't on the wall well enough, and it just happened at the right time to
No,
fall
so
down.
the mirrors were close to the stairs, and I noticed that it was towards the lighter side of the room. But this piece of glass or mirror was thrown from the darker side of the room, as if someone was trying to hit us with it, and it just shattered. And so we all run upstairs, and his dad is still upstairs. His dad was the only one there, the only car outside. So unless his dad found a way to teleport upstairs, he didn't throw it. And we told him about it, and he was like, oh, that's weird. But he never said anything about it. So I don't know if he was like playing a prank on us, if it was him. I don't know how it could have been him. Also, I would stay the night at his house, and towards like midnight time, I'd sleep. I remember this. I would sleep in the living room, creepiest room. They had a husky. He'd always bark at random times of the night.
Like as a dog owner, can confirm this happens regardless of breed, no matter what's going on.
But like barking at nothing.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Trust me.
We're trying to make this scary, Jack.
I'm here to rate your story and tell you if it's any good. So far, Mirror one, that's decent. This one, it's just a dog barking.
But yeah,
I mean, I get
and
creeped out.
okay, so I'm not one of those people that's like vibes. Oh, I get these auras and these vibes. But like
There's a real dark aura in this room right now.
Yeah. I can sense your aura, but like, literally, I just got this. Sounds cringy, but this vibe. I'd always get this vibe, like something.
Like the hairs
off,
on the back of your neck.
Something
would
is off around here. Like I don't know if it's like a spiritual thing or I don't know. Something dark is going on. So yeah, that's my story.
Are you guys believers in the supernatural? Like, do you guys believe in ghosts?
So I believe in a spiritual realm. I think there's another realm similar to this one. It's the same realm, but just like for spirits, if that makes sense. And
yeah.
sometimes they can pass through. Almost like opening portals or doors to our world.
I am a total believer in the supernatural kind of stuff. But I also believe that you have to, like, allow things like that to happen, you know? I mean, I do think there's, like, obviously haunted houses where spirits or whatever you want to say, whatever they are, whatever you believe in, like, are allowed to roam, I guess. Like, that's just allowed there. But I do feel like there's certain things that can... I mean, think about it. When people... even people that don't believe in, like, God or good and evil or whatever you want to, like, or the devil or anything like that, even people who play with, like, Ouija boards, things start to happen, you know? So, like, obviously, like, you can open doors to that kind of thing.
I've never played with a Ouija board.
Neither have I, but that's just because I'm so afraid of stuff like that. Because I've heard stories.
We need to play with a Ouija board. I'm a skeptic. I believe in. So I believe because scientifically speaking, when you die, energy leaves your body.
Yeah,
that's in
it's
my
been
mind.
measured.
Yeah, that's like a fact. So I believe that would be the soul. That would be the soul leaving the body. Is the energy leaving our physical form, and I think that for me, like spirits and stuff like that might not necessarily have a consciousness because our consciousness comes from our physical form, but it wouldn't be unheard of for energy to be trapped where it has been released from its physical form. But I'm a skeptic in terms of like the Ouija board. I don't think the Ouija board's real.
See,
that's why I want to try it.
I'm too afraid to try that stuff. Like, that's where I just get... Because I'm a skeptic, too.
I can totally mess with you then with a Ouija board. That's so good to know.
You could. And that's...
my gosh, it's happening.
I'm just telling you right now, I will not come near a Ouija board. Like, I will not...
A Ouija board is never entering this house.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be in this house. But I'll put it in my house.
I'm just saying, like, I get so creeped out by that stuff. But we've had this conversation before. I get creeped out by, like, the littlest things. So I don't try anything like that because I'm just paranoid that something's going to happen. And my mind plays tricks on me. So even if nothing were to happen, I feel like you could easily, like you said, like, if you even just move something, like, with your foot under the table and I didn't know, I would be freaking out.
Well, I think it's more of a ritualistic thing as opposed to a game. Because there's different things, like I was watching this video of this girl, she wanted to contact her quote-unquote spirit guide, and she went to a psychic, and her psychic was like, okay, well, you need to contact it somehow. And she told her, put these candles in specific places around the room, make sure it's, like, dark in your room, and so she did that, and she was, like, trying to contact it, like, are you here, like, do you have good intentions? Already creepy. Like, you shouldn't have to contact anything. She went to bed. She woke up the next morning feeling like absolute trash. Like, this is the worst she's ever felt. She didn't care if she died right there. And she had amazing things going on. She was actually traveling to LA to, like, do some music stuff. And it was, like, a big part in her career. And the whole day, she's flying out to LA. She's just like, yeah, I hate my life. And the day before, she wasn't feeling that way. And then she's like trying to go to bed and she's literally like crying. She doesn't know what's going on with her life right now. She just has these thoughts of like, I don't care. And all of a sudden she has something whisper to her. This man's voice, and she said it wasn't like a creepy whisper, it was just like a calming whisper, and it was like, you'll be okay, I'll take everything type of thing.
I see, like, whenever I hear other people's stories, I'm a skeptic in that way.
But she was literally crying in the video.
Well, I'm not trying to say that she's lying, but, like...
How much of it's mental?
It would be one thing, like, I have to really trust someone. Like, if Jackie came to me and was like, Rachel, like, I experienced this, and she's, like... I would believe you, you know? Well, it'd be one... Maybe not, because you just told me, like, you would mess with me. But, like, if I truly felt like you were being honest, like, I'd believe you. But when it's someone, like, you're watching a YouTube video, or it's, like, just a random video of someone you don't know...
I can fake cry.
Yeah, like, people can do things like that, and so many people do different things for attention or for views that I'm, like... I don't know. I get skeptical of that stuff, because how many things have actually happened that weren't real that people just wanted to make seem real, you know? I mean, even the Ouija board, like, that's the thing, too, is how many people, even Ouija, how do you not know the people that made the Ouija board don't have people go and do this and pretend like something happened, so people go out and buy Ouija boards to experience it for themselves, you know?
Well, there's this girl in my Spanish class who tried a Ouija board, and she came to school the next day, and the teacher was like, nope, and she was sharing her story about what happened. And basically what you always hear about, like, spirits and, like, random things happening to her that shouldn't happen,
I remember,
realistically.
And when I was in, like, 8th grade, these kids made their own Ouija board, and we had, like, downtime in class, and I was, like, a few seats away from where all these kids were huddled around doing it, and the teacher, like, walked up, took it, like, shredded it up, threw it away, and was like, you guys don't know what you're messing with. And I was like, that to me, I was like, what happened to you that, like, you feel this way? You know, like, there's obviously moments where I'm like, okay, this is, like, maybe something goes on, but I'm also like, okay, is how much of it's really true. But I'm not the one to test it. Like, I won't be the one to test that stuff, because if there is something going on...
Jackie will, though.
I will. Me and Isaac will test it.
Nope. That's all you, Jackie.
I have no problem.
You can record it and watch it from a distance.
There we go.
Yeah, we can watch it.
I mean, I've, like, literally almost died several times in my life, so Ouija board is not very scary.
No, you would be the person I would trust to, like, test these things, because you...
Because if you die,
Send
it's you.
Jackie in.
No, it's not about dying. It's about, like, you would be honest. You would be completely truthful.
Like, if I sat down in front of a Ouija board and I contacted a spirit, it would change my life.
Exactly.
Like, my whole life view would change. It'd be turned upside down. That's the thing. It's like, skepticism and belief comes majority of the time from personal experiences.
Exactly.
And I've never experienced anything even remotely related to tapping into
But have you ever,
spiritual-
like, walked into a room or, like, a hallway or something random? Like, you're not even thinking about spiritual stuff, and you just get this feeling of, like, darkness, or,
That's
like,
called
I
anxiety.
shouldn't be here?
You have anxiety.
Okay, but what if you're, like, walking in your own house and it's out of nowhere?
Anxiety does that. Anxiety will attack you out of nowhere. People that have anxiety will say that nothing will be going on in their life, and suddenly they have anxiety attacks. So, that's what I think. Now, I do security work. I do have that, like, sixth sense. When I walk into a room, I can feel the energy of that room, but I'm feeling the vibe of real people that are in front of me, and I can scope that out and be like, something is going to happen tonight. Other times I can scope out a room and be like, this is going to be easy, nothing's going to happen, everyone's cool. But I've never walked into an empty room and been like, oh my god, there's a spirit in here.
Well, not necessarily a spirit, but, like, just something's off.
I feel like the only time I ever get those feelings is when we've been talking about scary stuff.
Because it's in your head, and
Exactly.
even if it's not, like, the forefront of your consciousness, your mind is still kind of...
Well, and when I was
processing that
younger,
stuff.
like, I was so afraid of the dark. And now I'm not afraid of the dark, but if I get too caught up in my head with stuff, like, the dark, obviously, because when it's dark, it's like an abyss. You know, you don't know what's around you.
You're not afraid of the dark, you're afraid of the unknown.
Exactly. And
The
I think
void.
that's what gets me are moments like that where you kind of, or you're watching a movie and you don't expect something scary to happen, and it happens. And it doesn't just involve supernatural. It could be like someone getting kidnapped or someone getting murdered, you know, where it's an actual person doing something. Like, that stuff creeps me out.
Like, you were talking
too.
about the sixth sense. Like, I literally had that when I was working in retail. I turned the corner and you just, like, I looked at this guy and I was like, Like, the hairs on my back were like, oh no, something, like you said, something's gonna happen. It was just creepy.
What did he do?
Well, he ended up stealing, but...
Yeah, that's not bad.
I don't know. Like,
Stealing's not bad, guys.
I just...
Don't steal, but that's not like, like he was going to murder you or anything.
I got, like, a vibe, though. I don't know
that
what...
vibe when we were
I don't know what else he would do, but I got
Pizza
a vibe,
Hut?
definitely.
That was weird.
See, and that to me is like your instincts kicking
Yeah.
in. Like, that moment is like, something isn't right about this situation.
And your body's trying to tell you.
Your body is like, this isn't normal. Like, you've been through... The thing is that the more situations you go through, the more you start to realize what's normal human behavior and what's not. And you start to kind of catch on what is definitely suspect behavior. And I think that's where a lot of those feelings come from.
I think, especially since I become a mom, that level of, like, what's going on, my awareness has increased because I'm so paranoid of something happening to Chloe or, like, something going wrong. So she's always on the forefront of my mind, you know? So I feel like I'm more aware of what's going on, or I try to be, because I'm worried something might happen to her. Which makes it even worse because I've gotten so much anxiety from it because I'm on edge a lot, you know?
And then you start to see danger where it's not really there.
Yeah, exactly. And but I mean also, like, in today's world, like, you hear different stories about people getting kidnapped and being sold as, like, sex slaves and stuff like that. And that
in
stuff,
today's world, that's been happening since
well,
the
I
beginning
know,
of
but I
mankind.
feel like it's more
Rachel's like, this is
publicized
new.
now.
It is.
You know?
It's finally something which is good.
And no, it's really
because
good.
now we can finally start. You can now educate Chloe
Exactly.
on what sex trafficking is and prevent it from happening. To
Yeah,
teach her those
100%.
things, because if I was a parent, that would be my number one concern is my kid. I would monitor everything they did online, because as soon as you turn your back, they're getting groomed by somebody.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, you see it. Like, we live in a
Think about when we were kids.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're actually almost more at danger now because of the internet if you're a child than when we were kids, because someone had to come and kidnap me, and, like, statistically speaking, you're more likely to be kidnapped or molested by somebody you know anyways. But, like, the internet creates a space where these people can groom young kids, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
You want to talk about scary stories?
That's
a scary story.
It's scary because it's something that's actually can
It's a
actually
fact.
happen.
Yeah, it happens.
Me and Isaac had this conversation in the car about, like, the difference between like murderers, serial killers, like the different people that are actually real and that can come after you, and then the supernatural, because you never hear of someone, Isaac said, you never hear of a ghost killing someone.
You never hear of someone, like, getting possessed and dying. Or something like that.
Yeah, even if you hear people, like, that have gotten possessed, like, you don't really hear of anyone dying. I mean, they might be tormented mentally, but when it comes to, like...
And how much of that is mental illness?
Exactly.
Already, yeah.
And then you have people who can actually, like, come and physically hurt you.
Ted Bundy.
Exactly.
Who everyone
And
thought
that
was
to
a great
me,
guy.
That to me is scary.
Yeah. I agree.
Well,
I mean, it's all scary to me, but that's definitely scary.
We were on TikTok, and I watched a video. This girl was walking out to her car, and there was honey that had been opened, like a bottle of honey. It had been opened and placed on her car. So if she were to grab it, it would spill all over her car. And she, like, grabs it and picks it up. She's like, what the heck? And that's the whole video. But then you go to the comments, and tons of people are like, dude, just get in your car. Like, I'm so glad your brother was with you. Like, this is a technique for, like, people to kidnap you.
I've never heard
traffic you.
It's the first time I've heard of that one, and especially if it's in a place where people can see. But I have heard of, like, the $100 bill one and things like that. Yeah, that's... You just gotta be aware of your surroundings and don't be paranoid. That's the thing, is so many people nowadays think they are going to be a victim. Statistically speaking, you are not going to be a victim. Mm-hmm. Like, the odds of it happening to you are not as great as people would lead you to believe. Like I said, you're more likely to be victimized by somebody you know. And which, like, murders, like, think about murders, random acts of violence. It's just so, it's statistically, it's such a minute point in the world compared to gang-related violence or domestic violence, which are the true, like, I mean, the majority of violent acts are one of those two things. So.
Yeah.
I just want to have people be more informed for stuff like that, just in case, you know, you never know what's going to happen.
Like, always be aware of your surroundings, but like Jackie said, like, don't let it consume you to where you're
don't
paranoid,
let it
or you don't
rule
leave your
your
house,
life.
or you don't do anything, because...
And sometimes, and the unfortunate thing is stuff that you see on the internet, there's a lot of misinformation that's spread to make people scared that this is something that happens when it's really never ever been recorded in the history of any police report in the entire world that this has happened, but people are so convinced that it has. I don't know about that one. That might be true. I've never researched the honey thing. But just, you know, people, they just keep spreading it, and it's just... The true horrors is the internet, really.
Yeah, honestly.
That's the ultimate scary
The ultimate
story.
scary story is the internet, the dark web.
It is.
We've not talked about any scary stories.
I
at all.
I mean, that was pretty
Isaac-
scary, though.
Isaac told us, but yeah, it is scary. I guess I have one that I could tell that my mom told me when I was younger. This is what kind of like, I guess, makes me get like creeped out about.
I'm
that
already
kind
getting
of
creeped
stuff.
out because I know what it is.
So my mom, when she was younger, was adopted by her stepdad, and then when she was like 7, and he was a very, he dealt with a lot of like
Superstition.
super like Wiccan dark magic kind of stuff. Like he messed around with stuff like that, and my mom said it was normal in their house to experience things come like flying off the mantle, or for stuff to like cabinets to open and close by themselves, and it was just normal in her household because like that's what they were used to. And she said one time they were upstairs and they heard like screeching noises in their basement, and when they went downstairs to check, everything was fine, it looked normal, but it was like all the furniture had been moved. You could see like parts where it looked like the furniture had been moved, like scratches on the floor, but nothing was moved. And my mom's adoptive dad was like, "Oh, it's just the poltergeist."
Like, no
that,
big deal.
No big deal. Like, he would just talk about that stuff, and my mom said to her, like, it was obviously creepy, but she said stuff like that happened all the time when she was young, that it wasn't like, it became a part of their life to where they weren't even that scared of it because they were just used to
Just
it.
accepting it. That
Exactly. Like, there's just spirits or creepy stuff happening in our house, and it's like, okay, whatever. That to me is like, that stuff.
That would make someone a believer if they went through
Oh,
that.
yeah. Exactly. But that's the thing is, it's like, even hearing stories like that, yeah, it creeps me out, but until I experience something like that, I mean, I believe in it, but if I were to experience something like that, would definitely be like, okay, 100% no doubt in my mind, because you can still have doubts. Like, I still have doubts on certain things, but if I were to experience something, then obviously it'd be like, okay, obviously this is real, there's something happening here. But I don't want to ever experience that, so.
Yeah, I maybe because I am a skeptic, I have not opened up to like experiencing that kind of stuff. And I think maybe like someone like Isaac, if me and Isaac walk into a room, I'm not going to sense or see anything, and he's more likely, because you are more of a believer and more accepting of it, that you probably are more likely to experience it before I would anyways.
That's how, I feel like though, but even, because I feel like I'm a believer yet a skeptic in some way, because I feel like I'm not open, like the people that obviously see stuff a lot or experience stuff, that's because they're open to it. I feel like I'm not, obviously I don't want it to happen, so I'm closed off to it, and I'm like, okay, is this real? And so when you're like that, I feel like things don't happen, so you just continue on your way of being a skeptic, but still always wondering, It's just interesting. I had a moment where it was like, it wasn't scary though, but it was a moment where it hit me like there is like a spiritual realm, because I had gone to, you hear about people like when you go to church, like getting prayed over and like falling on the ground, right? Like you've seen videos or like heard of stories like that. So it's happened to my parents. It's happened to a lot of people I know because I grew up in the church, but I've never experienced it. Like I was always like, what the heck's wrong with them? Like what's happening,
Why are they falling?
And last month, I had gone to, we had like every once a month we have a women's service at our church. And so I went, and I'd been dealing with a lot, like I said, since I got pregnant with Chloe, it's like those instincts have kicked in, and I've been dealing with a lot of fear and anxiety over stuff, making stuff up in my head or just worrying about the littlest things. And it was to the point where it was like all consuming. Like every day I'd wake up, I would just have so much anxiety, so much fear. And I didn't really talk to people about it because I didn't want it to be real. Like I just was like, whatever, if I just ignore it, it won't affect me. And I went to church, and our pastor called anyone up that wanted to have a prayer. And I was like, you know what? I never do this. Like I never go up and have someone pray over me. And I'm just tired of feeling this way. So I'm just gonna do it. And in that moment, like I felt completely open to it. Like I was just like, I was tired of feeling that way. And she prayed over me, and it was like as soon as she touched me, I just like fell to the floor, and the feeling I got was like a feeling I've never felt in my life. And it was one of those moments where I was like, there's something beyond what we experience in the real world, And that to me, and that's the thing is, even growing up in church and believing certain things, I still was skeptical of stuff, obviously, because it's like until you do experience something, you always wonder. And that's the thing is I saw it happen to other people I knew and I believed them, but I never personally had any kind of experiences like that until this moment. And it was definitely something that was like, I can't even explain it. Like it's just, it's crazy. And that's the thing, that's the only thing I can say is until you experience it, you really, I don't know. I feel like you don't really
understand.
Not necessarily, because I know there's people that can understand without having to experience that, but I'm one of those people that feel like I have to have something like that happen for me to believe, like fully believe. And I felt like a lot of the time before, I believed, but I still didn't fully believe, like I was just like, okay, this is like unbelievable in a way, and then that happened and I was like, okay, it's a literal life-changing moment because it changes how you view things, just like if something scary were to happen to me or I was to experience something supernatural like in a negative way, then definitely that would be a life-changing moment and I'd look at things differently again, it's just crazy though. I think that's why it's part of the reason too why I believe in such like a spiritual realm a whole lot more.
Well, it's interesting because both of you guys did grow up in a church family, in a church environment, and I didn't. So that might be part of it too. Like my parents, I read the Bible. My parents said I could go to church if I wanted to. I read multiple other religious texts, consumed it all because I was curious, and I'm very fascinated by faith and religion and people's belief systems. I think are very interesting to me, and I think it says a lot about a person. So I've always consuming that kind of knowledge, but church-wise, I mean, I went to church with other people. I didn't go because I was a Christian or anything like that, So I think that could have an impact on it too because everything that I believe in and everything that, and actually it's kind of funny. I was talking to my dad about this today because my brother went to church. My brother's baptized, which is strange and bizarre to think about. My brother used to...
Oh, really?
Yeah, my brother used to not at all. He baptized. He went for himself to get baptized. My parents didn't have either of us baptized. And, he went to church for the first time in a very, very, very long time, and we were talking about it, my dad's like, it's kind of weird, because your brother is more or less an atheiest. My brother has been...
Was this recent this happened?
My brother went to church last Sunday. Yesterday.
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Does his girlfriend go to church, and that's kind of what influenced him? Or he
said he's been thinking about it for a long time, and he took the kids to go to the church, and he was happy he went, and... But he's been, very much like, no, like, this is it. When we die, it's over. Like, there's no God. And then there's me, and, like, my belief system is that I don't know I don't know if there's a spiritual realm. I don't know if there's a God. I think there probably is. I think there could be a spiritual realm. There might not be. It's a factor that, as a human being, I could never comprehend. It's beyond mortal comprehension, those facets.
Realistic.
Yeah, and I'm open to it. I'm open to any belief system out there because there's no way to prove or disprove. But I think having that kind of attitude of like, I can't prove or disprove this, so it is what it is, makes me a skeptic in a way because until I can experience that side of things, then for me it's maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It doesn't affect me right now. Like it's nothing. There's no sign for me to believe or not believe in a spiritual realm or anything like that. Like I said, scientifically speaking, energy exists. The entire universe and beyond is made out of energy. So that's just a fact. And I think that spiritually speaking, energy could be what your soul is or your spirit. But yeah.
I think, until you have one of those moments that you experience something, because even, like I said, growing up in church, when I was 18 and I didn't want to go to church anymore, like, I left, I had a lot of moments where I was like, okay, how do I know? There's so many different religions, there's so many different beliefs. How do I know, like, what I've been raised up in is true? And it's part of life to question those things. And I'm glad I had those moments because it's made me believe what I believe today, but you have to experience something, and you don't have to have like a huge like get knocked down or something crazy like that, but until you have something that is life-changing for you.
You open up the Bible and you read that one passage, and that's the passage you've been needing to read, and you're like, this all makes sense, I believe. Exactly. Sometimes you just wake up and you're like, oh, this is how it is, this is what I believe.
But everyone has a different experience, and everyone has a different moment, and that's why you can't, like, that's why when people try to label stuff or like try and make it too complicated, I'm like, just let things happen naturally,
And also I feel like as human beings, we need to be more like respectful of what people believe in, because we don't know, like you were saying, you haven't really had anything that's made you believe, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disbelieve either. It's just, you know, it's the unknown.
It's just
it is
reality.
One day we're gonna find out. Like this is the reality of it. If you want to speak reality, one day we're gonna die and we're gonna know. Mm-hmm. And maybe
or
that
not gonna know.
No, well, we would know because we'd cease to exist. So that proves that there's nothing. You know, if there's nothing after that, we cease to exist. Well, there you go. That proves that there's nothing afterwards. If there is something afterwards, our consciousness continues. We're gonna know. It will be proven at the end of the line, and that's just how. And I'm not worried about what's there because, fuck it, it's there. Like I can't change it, so why be worried about it?
And that is the biggest question of life.
What's at the end?
Yeah.
Everyone's so afraid of what's at the end. I'm more afraid of the actual act of dying because I don't like being in pain. Yeah. And the reality of it is that death will be the most violent experience you will go through in your entire life. It'll be excruciating pain to the point where your body will fail you. And it doesn't matter if that lasts a millisecond or if it lasts for months. It fucking sucks. So that to me is way more terrifying than what's at the other side. I'm actually curious. Like, I would never kill myself, but like when I find out what's at the other side, cool. That's gonna be awesome for me. But in the meantime, dying, shitty, terrible.
No, me too.
Scary.
Like the thought of dying, that's how I feel about it too. Is I'm just like, ugh, like I hate being in pain.
Yeah,
I hate experiencing.
Like imagine just
like
bleeding out and your body's just dying on you.
and you can't do anything.
The
Okay,
doctors
but
can't do
I
anything
hope that's
anymore.
not how I die, but you know, you never
But
know.
like the reality, like you don't know how you'll die, you know?
Yeah, that's the real terrifying stuff.
Think about like just drowning or burning or
Why would you burning? So burning to death is probably my least favorite. Would be my least favorite way to go.
I like that you have favorites.
Yeah, you have like a
have a
list.
list.
a
I totally do.
hierarchy.
So like either like getting my heart pierced or my brain pierced because more or less you're unconscious within literally seconds.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Bleeding out doesn't scare me if it's not a wound that's super painful, because bleeding out you just get more and more tired until you pass. Drowning is terrifying to me because of the panic that you would have,
Exactly.
and then just struggling to breathe, and as you're feeling your lungs just like
fill up.
and you're just suffocating. You know,
Yeah.
that's terrible. And fire to me, fire and electricity, I'm terrified of being electrocuted because that's just burning from the inside.
Well, and you have been electrocuted.
Not really.
The fence?
Oh yeah,
At
I've walked
your
in.
house?
Well, that's not being electrocuted. I've been zapped by live wires putting up cameras too. But I mean, like I've never felt like true like heart stopping Like I've never felt that. That terrifies me. Like that's why I don't mess with like live wires unless I like moving cameras and it's like 24 volts. Who cares? But like I'm not gonna like work on that on your guys' ceiling light. Fuck no, turn the electricity off. Call an electrician over here. I'm not messing with that. That's terrifying. Those are the ways that it just terrifies me to think about.
I'm always paranoid that I'm gonna have like a heart attack and then like not be able to breathe and then just die.
How do those people survive?
And have that moment, like even like you said, even if it's just a millisecond of like just the panic of it, like the panic and then not being able to breathe, and then it's kind of like you are drowning in a way. Like that's the way I feel about it. Is you just like.
Well, and the bright side is that when you die, you more or less so the light flashing before your eyes thing is like it's essentially chemicals. Like it's a DMT trip.
Going off in your brain.
Chemicals released in your brain, and you don't actually the last few seconds you don't actually really experience because of the sudden burst of chemicals that are released more or less in order to protect you from the physiological anxiety that comes with dying.
It's got really dark really fast. But it's the Halloween episode, so...
You guys
I know, this wasn't exactly how I expected it to go, but it was still kind of scary. Like, some of these things are, like,
honestly, this is scarier than, like, paranormal, because this is real life.
Yeah, sorry to, like, depress anyone that's listening to this, because you're going to experience death in your life. Like, there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, you're going to die.
Or when your, like, heart skips a beat, and you're like, whoa.
Oh, I actually have actual heart issues that runs in my family. My brother had a heart attack when he was 28, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I have actual heart issues, so that's... I assume I will probably die of a heart attack. I'm sure I will, especially after the last couple of years that I've been through.
Rachel just had to make you relive what
No,
you've been
I'm not scared of it. Like I said, I'm not scared of a heart attack really that much. I probably wouldn't even realize it was happening. I'd be like, fuck, this is fucking painful. Oh my god, I can't breathe. And then I'd be dead. You know,
You're
not
like,
really.
Oh my god, I'm dead.
Or like my grandpa who had a widowmaker and was dead instantly. His heart literally just burst and that was it, you know. Compared to my brother who had like multiple heart attacks and went to work. And then his boss, and he was like, my brother's like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And his boss was like, no, you're not. You need to stay here. My brother went to the hospital, obviously, and survived. But you know. And the thing is, my brother's a healthy person too. You know, it doesn't matter.
Well, my grandma, she was 61. She hiked all the time in great shape, great health, and she just was out gardening and died of a blood clot in her heart. Like, just died.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy stuff like that. Just like take you out. You never even knew. Mm-hmm. That's the real scary part of life, you guys.
And that's the real tea.
Anyways, is that our episode?
I guess this is
I guess that concludes our
scary episode. But death is the scary. I mean, tell me that's not what everyone. Unless you like want to kill yourself, then it's like death. Like you welcome it, but.
Well, so because it's like our most basic instinct is to live, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that another most basic instinct is to avoid pain.
Exactly.
Whether people say it or not, death is the scariest thing ever.
To me, like I said, death to me is not. It's the pain that comes with death. That's
Okay,
scary. Because once it's done, it's done. Like I mean,
Well, like the whole process, you know.
But real talk, being tortured and then killed. If you're gonna just kill me. Like, imagine having, like, each nail ripped off, nail by nail, tooth pulled out.
One of my least favorite scenes in an anime ever, yeah, I'm going nerd here, is in Monster.
Yes.
When they take the nail clippers.
No, stop.
And they clip the tips of his fingers.
Are you
kidding
me?
Dude, you gotta watch that anime. I cringe so bad.
That was one of the hardest
there's a
scenes
couple,
to watch.
It makes like my fingertips like feel something.
Yeah, it's.
I'm getting shivers. Like that to me, watching or having watched movies, even though you know it's not really happening, it's all fake in the movies, it's still like, oh, that happens. Like people get tortured. Think about people that like go out to fight for a country and then get kidnapped from a different country or something, and then
like
they
ISIS.
get tortured. Yeah, tortured and their heads chopped off and. Ugh.
Okay, maybe we should.
Or the drug cartels, they do that too. Cut
Yeah.
off heads. Yeah, that's like their favorite way of warning people.
And they don't get it all in one, so they like keep hacking
yeah.
at it. Oh,
Butter knife.
oh, yeah. Not a fan of that stuff.
Why'd you have to bring up torture?
And beheadings.
Because that to me, like, I think about that. I talked to my dad about it. I was like, I would rather just like kill me. Obviously, just at that point when you're being tortured, you're just, of course, like, just kill me, just put me out of my misery. Because by that point, you don't want to be tortured.
The amount
obviously,
of trauma that is, like, the amount of trauma that you feel just from torture, you're already like, your brain is already modified to be like, kill me. You know, depending on how severe the torture is.
Yeah, depending. At that point, I'd just try to kill myself. Honestly, like if you're being tortured and no one will put you out of your misery, and you know it's just gonna go on.
Bite your tongue off. That's what you're supposed to do.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why?
You'll bleed out, and you can hopefully choke on your tongue.
Good to know. That to me is scary.
Biting your tongue off.
But that's the thing too is
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
suddenly
know.
super conscious of my
Yeah.
tongue. I hate that.
You know, it's like you're breathing
We're all
right
like
now.
touching. We're all like.
Have you seen those memes where
Yep.
it's like you're breathing right now?
Did you notice the edge of your nose? You can see it.
Dang it, Jack. It's like you're manually breathing. Now you're actually thinking about having to breathe.
You guys, you're messing people up right now.
Make sure you breathe. Make sure you blink. Make sure you swallow. Don't bite your tongue off. Don't look at the edge of your nose while you're driving. Don't try and lick your elbow, and you'll survive. Until the cancer gets you.
Or you get tortured to death.
Or you get tortured to death. What the fuck?
You're welcome for this spooky, scary, non-really supernatural Halloween edition.
There was nothing supernatural about this.
We tried to start it off, but we just got way too real with
Our
it.
fears obviously go deeper than the supernatural.
We have some very grounded fears. If you don't have the same fears as us, you're just crazy.
Yeah, or
you
you've
a
just
human?
experienced way too many supernatural experiences.
To the point where you're like, nothing, pain doesn't even bother me anymore.
Or you're
I don't know if I want to meet those people.
Or you're already dead and you're watching this, or listening to it.
Okay.
But if you're dead, like, that's the thing, is like your soul, like, if you believe in the soul and everything, is it conscious? Like, is it processing that it's viewing us do this podcast?
I don't
hate thinking about that.
I don't really know. That's
Because
something that's
consciousness is your brain. Like, you can lose, like, when you're you're in a coma, you're unconscious, you don't there's no memories, there's no nothing. So how are you able to, or is it just because your consciousness goes dormant inside your body because you're still alive, and then once you cease and your soul leaves?
Have you ever just looked at like a dead body?
Yeah, I've seen people die. Like, what kind of question is that?
But I'm just saying, like, looking at a dead body and knowing that, like, there's no soul, like, they're dead, there's nothing in there. It's literally just a body.
Just the shell of a human.
I mean, that's
that might be us right now. I mean, assuming if you don't believe in souls, I mean, we're just,
I don't know.
It's just ugly bags of mostly water, to quote Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Had to get a Star Trek quote in there.
Got it. Yeah. Well, anyways, so go look at dead bodies.
No.
And think about how it's just an empty shell.
It is. That's what's scary. Is one day will be an empty shell.
Assuming your body's still there.
Is rigor mortis named after someone, or is it an actual scientific term?
It's like
it sounds like rigging.
It's stiff
like
dead.
Like rigging.
Stiff dead. Okay.
Stiff dead.
Because when you're dead, you become stiff. That's essentially what it is.
You have no blood going through your body and.
Or like Adobe animation when they like rig a character, rigor mortis. I don't know, like joints and stuff get stiff.
Anyways, thanks for listening to this Halloween episode of Livecast. My name's Jackie.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Isaac.
And we'll see you next week.
Hello, it is Rachel from Nonessential Media once again, thanking you for taking the time to listen to our Livecast Halloween special. This was so much fun to put together and something new for us, so it was quite exciting. As always, we love interacting with you guys and love hearing what you guys have to say, so please feel free to reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at NonessentialM, on Facebook and YouTube by searching Nonessential Media, and on Instagram under Nonessential Media as well. We also have our website, nonessentialmedia.com, and on there you can find some info about our creators and other projects that we have going on, as well as some upcoming stuff we have for you guys. As always, we thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. We would not be able to do this without you. You're all amazing. We love you.